From something that we know you don't like to something you like even less, I suspect, and that is 20-mile-an-hour speed zones. And from September the 17th, that speed limit will be set across most residential roads in Wales, making Wales one of the world's first countries to have a default of 20 miles per hour.
Now, some campaigners have welcomed the changes, of course, but others protesting the plans, with one Welsh Assembly member describing it as completely bonkers.
So this morning we are asking whether or not these speed limits are the way forward or not. Would that imposition result in a whole new batch of issues, including apparently delaying emergency services getting to crises? So we'll be debating that.
Well, Anna Semlien is National Campaign Manager of 20's Plenty, so thinks it's all great.
And the Conservative Party representative for the Rhondda Valley, Natalie Bowen, believes that these Welsh Government plans are comparable with lunatics having taken over the asylum. Good morning to you both and a very warm welcome. Oh, I'm glad to see you've got strong feelings about this then, both of you. We don't like people to sit on the fence in a debate. Where should we start? Where do you want to go, Stephen?
I think we should start with Anna because, look, I mean, you know why people want 20. You know, it's all about road safety. It's about safety if you have an accident. But actually, is it really realistic? Do we really need to be going down that route?
It helps people travel not just safer, but with less stress. Particularly, for instance, if you're one of the 500,000 children in Wales and you want to get around, you can only do that safely if adults slow down for you. Also, households, not all of them have cars. There are 300,000 households who have no car or van, and 600,000 people who've got concessionary travel passes. They are walking or cycling to the bus or train stop. They want lower speeds.
Well, shouldn't they be walking on the pavement, Anna?
Improving their quality of life.
Shouldn't they be walking on the pavement?
People do walk on the pavement, but obviously they cross the road to get to stops and train stations.
Yeah, it's hardly a nightmare to cross over a road where you just wait until there's no traffic.
Depends on how fast you walk, doesn't it?
Oh. Well, OK, let's bring in Natalie into all of this. We can hear from Anna there that she thinks that these are brilliant for safety. You don't agree?
No, quite the opposite, to be fair. I mean, you have to sort of define safety. You know, is safety emergency services being able to get to where they need to in a timely fashion? Is safety people with severe physical disabilities like my spouse being able to drive around in a car, which is their sole source of mobility, of independence, by the way, in a comfortable way? You know, is safety having to take a relative to the hospital? Because let's face it, they've been getting rid of the ambulances slowly but surely in Wales, haven't they? And finding that you have to spend the majority of that journey at 20 miles an hour. I'm unsure as to how this makes things safer, to be honest.
Come back and just challenge. I wasn't really clear, Natalie, how it's more uncomfortable to drive a car at 20 miles an hour for somebody who's got a disability than at 30 miles an hour. And just explain to me how that works.
Okay, basically, my spouse has got numerous spine conditions, and the amount of issues that it would cause to drive the car at 20 in comparison to 30 miles an hour. And by the way, these 20 mile per hour zones are already in force in certain areas like Roggett, for example, which is where we drive through quite frequently. Having to maintain 20 miles an hour causes unnecessary strain and pain to my spouse, whereas being able to drive on a normal road at 30, 40 or, you know, a sensible speed for a sensible vehicle obviously causes considerably less strain.
OK, look, Anna, in all this, I mean, we do know, I mean, Natalie raised it there about emergency services, but from a leaked memo, we do know the police in Wales are concerned about this. They do think it's going to impact what they're going to be able to do.
Mark Travis, whose email that was, clarified that it makes no discernible difference to emergency times, and it's actually easier to pass a slower vehicle than a faster one.
What about those people who say, actually, because of all these 20-mile-an-hour limits, people are so worried about getting tickets and being fined and perhaps even losing their licence, that people are actually looking at their dashboards more than they are at the road, and perhaps it's even more dangerous to be doing 20 miles an hour all the time consistently across the country of Wales in most residential areas?
We know from evidence elsewhere that about 12,000 people will be less injured over the next 10 years. That's from Edinburgh Napier University. So it's certainly safer to drive slower.
OK, look, just finally, let's put that point to Natalie. If there's clear evidence that it is going to be safer for pedestrians, for those people on the road who are not driving, that's hard to be argued with, isn't it?
No, not really. I'd like some quantification on that particular study, to be honest with you. You know, it's great to have a piece of paper that you can wheel out to prove your theories, but with respect, what this is going to do is negatively impact people with disabilities, negatively impact the emergency services, negatively impact small businesses, and actually, as is customary with most Welsh Government policies, really negatively impact the working class communities of Wales.